Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bill. We're going to be in Starfinder for this video. We are continuing the Starship section of Starfinder. We're going to go over designing Starship encounters. So for the most part, I'm just going to read what's here, and then we'll go over the example of the Starship combat. And that'll cover just these last 2 pages in this chapter. And then I'll do a video on the pre-made ships, a video on making a ship, and probably a video on designing my own Starship combat. Challenge. Combat between starships of equal tiers is more evenly matched than fighting between PCs and opponents of equal CR. Usually there is only one PC ship in the fight containing the entire party. This means that if a battle is lost, the PCs might be taken captive or perish. As a result, starship combats where the PCs face off against a starship of equal tier and capability are very difficult. Most encounters should be against ships of a lower tier. Use the following table as a guideline. So, a hard encounter is the starship tier equal to the PCs. An epic one is the starship's tier +1, the PC starship tier +1. A challenging encounter is the PC starship tier -1. An average encounter is a PC starship tier -2. An easy encounter is a PC starship tier -3. So you'd keep that in mind as you're pulling the pre-made starships and designing these encounters. Multiple ships. If the PCs have more than one starship, use the highest tier ship tier as the base and add 1 to its value for each additional starship within at least 2 tiers of that starship. If none are within 2 tiers, add up the tiers of all the additional ships and add 1 to the base value if the total equals or exceeds the base starship's tier. Use this modified value when determining the encounter's difficulty. If there are multiple enemy ships, treat every pair of enemy ships of the same tier as a single starship of the pair's tier +2, and every trio of a single starship if the trio's tier +3. If there is a number of ships of different tiers, use the formula for the multiple PCs ships to determine the final difficulty. For example, if an enemy consists of 3 tier 1 starships, a tier 4 starship, and a tier 7 starship, the final result would be a tier 8 challenge. So that's easy enough to follow. As complicated as it sounds reading it, it's pretty easy to follow. The only complications when you're adding all the weaker vessels to try to figure out if it's more or less challenging. Crew level. Most starship combat encounters are between characters of roughly equal level and skill, regardless of the tier of the starship they are aboard. If there is a large level discrepancy between the combatants, adjust the difficulty of the encounter up or down the tier to compensate. In any case, combats between crews that are more than 4 levels apart should be avoided. In general, the skill ranks of an NPC crew member are equal to the CR of the NPC or the tier of the enemy starship, minimum 1. To determine the skill modifier of an NPC crew member, first decide whether the NPC has mastered the skill or is simply good at the skill. Using one crew member will be the master at one skill, the rest of the crew will have good skills. The skill modifier for a master skill is equal to 9 plus 1.5 times the NPC's ranks in that skill. The skill modifier for a good skill is 4 plus 1.5 times the NPC ranks in that skill. Alternatively, you can determine NPC skill ranks and modifiers using the Master and Good skill modifier for the combat array from the monster building rules in the Starfinder Alien Archive, which I don't own. I need to get that one. Of course, if you have full stat blocks for NPC crew members, you should use their actual skill ranks and modifiers. Seems a little complicated there. I'd probably go back and simplify it myself and go, okay, the ones that are good at it, maybe they have a 9 plus the tier value of the ship. Or the ones that are masters at it. And the ones that are good at it have 4 plus the tier of the ship. That would simplify it a lot. That said, nothing's wrong with it. It just seems a little complicated trying to calculate the NPCs skills for the ship. Experience for starship combat. PC should earn experience points for defeating enemy ships. To award XP, compare the difficulty of the encounter to table 11-1 encounter difficulty on page 390. Okay. To find the challenge rating equivalent of the encounter, look up the value of the CR to find the party's XP award for the encounter. For example, suppose the PCs have an average party level of 10 and are flying a tier 10 starship. They encounter and defeat a tier 9 enemy starship. As the enemy starship tier equals the PC starship tier -1, this was a challenging encounter. Look at table 11-1 encounter difficulty. A challenging encounter has a CR equivalent of average party level +1. So I'm going to say it's a 5th level party. So 5th level party, average party level +1. So you're looking at challenge rating 6, I would say. So it would give a total XP of 2,400 in my example. This one says it'd be a challenge rating 11 encounter. Okay, so it's basing it off the starship itself. So average party level, so it's using the starship's one. So in its example, 12,800 experience points for the encounter. That would be divided amongst the PCs. So it's not too hard to follow. A lot of complicated looking things up though. Let's see. Okay, this is the example of their starship combat. So the game master is talking to the party, the players. The Necroglider is 15 hexes directly behind you, but with its sleek design, it looks poised to make up the distance with ease. Your starship is currently facing away from it. We start the first round with the engineering phase. Rose 5, one of the characters, Rose 5. Since our shields are at full power and nothing broken yet, I use divert action to boost our weapons. And then it goes over rolling the rolls to do that. And then the Game Master goes, next is the helm phase. Please attempt a piloting check for your starship, while I attempt one for the Necroglider. And the PCs roll a better piloting check than the Game Master. The Game Master, since the Necroglider got the lower result, it moves first. I think it's just going to close using the fly action and its speed of 12. The Necroglider is now only 3 hexes behind the Amethyst. The pilot, Twitch, well, that's much too close. I might try some evasive maneuvers, but I'll keep that flying corpse within range. And then the next player, Koranawa, before you do that, let me try to target its engines. Maybe we can slow it down. So the what's going on is the Game Master's informing them that the Necroglider would get a +3 with its countermeasures to the DC for them to attempt it. So the DC is now 19. And the player rose poorly, doesn't quite get the 19. And then the player says, these bonus ships are too weird, I can't even tell where the engines are. And then Twitch, another player, no worries, now it's time for my fancy footwork. Fin work, never mind. And then he attempts the evade. So Twitch was the pilot. And because of how successful he is, they get a +2 to the AC, and then the game master says, the gunnery phase is next. You've managed to maneuver the Amethyst so that you're outside of the Necroglider's forward firing arc, but it can use its gyro laser to fire into the adjacent arc with a penalty. Let's see how that goes. And he fails the roll. Walthar, but our mission launcher, our missile launcher, is on a turret, so it can fire in any arc. Okay, let's make this dead thing even deader. Elidu, another player. 1 second, let me give you some inspiring words with the encourage action. Let's make this dead thing even deader. And then Wothar, truly inspiring, Captain. There was a diplomacy check made, player using their ability to give a +2 to the targeting. And then they successfully hit the ship with the missiles, doing 48 damage. So they do 15 damage total. And the Necroglider would have lost 2 shield points, and the rest of the damage would have been dealt to its hull. And its critical threshold is 6, so the vessel takes 2 critical damage effects. The GM rolls percentile twice, getting a 9 and an 86, meaning that both the Necroglider's life support and its power core are now glitching. So without reading too much of the check stuff other than the ending there, that's how an example of the Starship combat goes. So then you would repeat for the next round and see if you could finish taking out that ship or get them to surrender, so on and so forth. Hopefully this helped you guys out. It definitely was interesting to me, considering I haven't designed any Starship encounters yet. Well, until we all game again, guys.